It's Research Now.
Good morning, good morning. Welcome to Research Now Live. Can we all take a second to help me welcome Joanne Burns from 20th Television? Thank you for joining us, Joanne.
Good morning.
So, 12 years with 20th Television.
Yeah, and I'm only 12. Yeah, 12 years with 20th Television.
What does your day look like as the EVP of Marketing Research?
It starts at 5 a.m. when I wake up.
Does it?
And I'm on my BlackBerry.
Yeah.
Answering the New York questions that come in, because they're 8 a.m. commuting in. And the day really consists, my position is marketing, research, and digital. So it's first thing in the morning numbers.
Yeah.
That's what I say to the executives. It's their pacifier. You got to put it in their mouth and give them their morning numbers. And then after that, it's on to the fun stuff. So it's a lot of diagnostic of our shows and the competition. And my job is also advising on marketing and programming involving traditional ratings research as well as all things digital. So it's about providing the insights, providing suggestions, and then actually overseeing and implementing the projects.
So how do you see research impacting the 20th television business in the next 2 to 5 years?
Well, I think it will impact us the way it's impacting everybody. I've grown up in the ratings business. I'm in syndication, which is wonderful because syndication is not, as I mentor and I teach people, it's not a pipeline. We're not a distribution means. It's not a local station, network, or cable. It's content. And content is ever evolving and ever morphing these days. So for syndication, I have the luxury of understanding, selling, creating for local and cable and network, and now everything digital. With that comes the complication of how do you measure it, how do you quantify it, how do you trend it, how do you project it. So I see it evolving in that we have got to find ways to quantify it and to synthesize it. Because right now we've got different pieces of information coming from different platforms, coming from different sources, all translated into different means.
Got it. So you're seeing a lot of changes in consumer behavior. What are some of the interesting changes you've seen in the past year or two?
What I'm seeing personally as well as professionally, I always approach research from a first person and a third person, as I like to say, is I am fascinated with the way we always screamed, big brother, big brother. People are watching us and we don't want to get out information. And in this day and age, it's astounding, myself included, how much personal information we're willing to give up. Give up for the sake of getting a little piece of something, being a member of a club, an organization, giving up the information, whether it be for checking in and letting people know what you're doing, where you're doing it, or when, and allowing people to really track you. That is fascinating to me, and I think opens a tremendous amount of doors for us in terms of research, marketing, program content, because I know more about you. But not in a big brother fashion, to make what we're offering you that much more enriching, because I do know what your likes are, where you are, and what you're doing. So giving up personal information. Hand in hand with that is GPS. And knowing exactly where you are at that moment.
Yeah.
So there's an old expression, think global and act local.
Yeah.
Come up with a global idea. If you think of some of the biggest ideas that are working now on the internet, it's something that is applicable to everybody, that can be localized. Now what GPS does is think global, act local, and personalize it to me.
Right.
And it's making digital content delivery that much more relevant. And I think the third one, which really is a bit of an oxymoron, because we've just finished talking about how everything can be individualized and personalized, and yet the whole concept of social and group. So it's really providing both, that I can do something solely and independently, or if I want and choose to join in a group and a social aspect. So anything we develop from a content standpoint or from a product standpoint, I keep that in mind. Is it a global idea? Can I localize it and personalize it, and then ultimately provide a group shared experience?
Excellent. So name one trend you think is worth watching, and what you find interesting about it outside of that.
The trend that I find watching is what is happening right now on the internet, which is mimicking completely the early days of cable. And that would be things like YouTube, and their $100 million investment in original content, and Hulu. Maybe that's what I did. I combined YouTube and Hulu. And they're doing what cable did in the early days. Yeah. It's a combination of acquisition of existing content.
Right.
And Netflix has bought some programs from off-net, from my industry, as well as creating original content, and that's what YouTube is doing. They're using the acquisition, the familiar content, to get people to come to they're even calling them channels, to come, get people to come to the channels because it's familiar, and then giving them that exclusivity of original content. Everything I've just described to you is what cable was in its early days.
Right.
We in television, broadcast television, poo-pooed cable 20 years ago. Ha ha ha, cable, it'll never amount to anything. I think everybody is perking up and paying attention to that in the television, broadcast industry, as well as cable. Yeah. That is the pioneering days right now for online content.
Yeah. So with all these new trends, I'm sure you're exposed to a number of different buzzwords, both in the industry and around the business. I'm going to ask you what your most annoying buzzword is that's used in the business.
Oh, I have three.
Good.
I have three.
Share them.
And for any of you who might be a vendor and you come in and see me, here are the no-nos. Do not come into my space, okay? I'm a little claustrophobic. Stay out of my space. I don't want you in my space. You don't have a solution. If you did, why do I still have so many problems? Nobody has come up with a solution. And your secret sauce? You're going to share the recipe with me? Because if you will, I'll share my secret sauce. My mother's got a great recipe. No secret sauce, no solutions, and stay out of my space. And then we'll talk.
Very clear message. I love it. So I want to know a little bit about you. So a lot of people have bucket lists and goals and things they want to do, when they retire or whatever. What's your, give us three things that might be on your bucket list.
It's very interesting that you asked me that question and that you put retirement in there. I used to try, and I love that movie Bucket List, and every time I would watch it I'd be inspired and I'd start to write my list, and then life kept getting in the way. And I could not fulfill my bucket list. And then life took a left turn for me in the last year. Not to be somber, but in a 51-week period, I lost my mother and my father. They were very, very, very dear to me. My father was a Holocaust survivor, and he was the last of his surviving generation to pass. So it's put life in perspective for me. And I now have a retirement bucket list. It's a couple of years away, but it's a retirement bucket list. And it's got a number of things on there, but three top ones for me are to volunteer my time for Holocaust survivors and to perpetuate the Holocaust and what happened so that it never happens again. A second thing on my bucket list falls in line with that, and I'm Jewish, no surprise now, but I was never bar mitzvahed, and now having lost my parents, I've become much more in touch with spirituality and religion, and I feel a little lost having not been through that. So I want to go through that process when I retire and go through the whole studies and be bat mitzvah.
Wonderful.
And then the third thing on my bucket list is to fulfill a lifelong personal and professional dream of mine that I've carried out throughout my career, but in a different way. When I was growing up, I wanted to be a teacher. And my mother always said to me, admirable profession, doesn't pay very well, find something else. So I followed my passions, which were left brain, right brain, creative and analytical, and that research really fulfills that. And some of my greatest joys when I have my toughest days are to open up a drawer that I have with all of these cards and notes and letters of kids that I've taught and I've trained, and they thank me for having made such an impact on their life. So I want to pay it forward and give back and fulfill one of my dreams and be a college professor. And instead of teach third grade, I want to teach everything that I've learned throughout my career.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. That was
My pleasure.
So nice. And I hope I get an invitation to your bar mitzvah. I'm sure that'll be fun. Wanting to give you a little gift. And all of you. Wanting to give you a gift to say thank you for your time.
My pleasure.
Thank you to Joanne Burns, everyone.